When you're standing in the kitchen, wondering whether a new wall oven is really worth the space, the price tag, and the hassle of installation, it's easy to feel a little stuck. Most of us have seen the glossy images and the promises of thermal cooking and self-cleaning, and the next step is always the same question: will this actually make my everyday meals easier? Or am I just adding another gadget that sits idle while I stick to my trusty stovetop? I'm going to walk through the practical side of the Bosch 500 series 30-inch built-in single electric wall oven, talk about who will get the most out of it, and point out the hidden trade-offs you might not see in the spec sheet. Link is in the description if you want to check the product details on Amazon. First, let's talk about the kind of kitchen routine this oven is built for. If you're the type who does a lot of batch cooking, think Sunday roasts, large trays of sheet pan veggies, or multiple pies for a holiday gathering, you'll appreciate the 30-inch width and the single cavity design. It slots neatly between cabinets, so you don't have to sacrifice counter space for a freestanding range. The oven's thermal cooking function is meant to keep the interior temperature steady after it reaches the set point, which can be a subtle but noticeable difference when you're cooking something that benefits from gentle, even heat, like a souffle or a delicate fish fillet. In real-world testing, the temperature holds within a small band, meaning you don't have to keep the oven door open to check progress, which saves a few precious minutes of cooking time and helps keep your kitchen from heating up. The self-cleaning feature is another point that often shows up in the decision-making process. In practice, the high-temperature cleaning cycle runs for about 2 to 3 hours, turning the interior to a near-white ash that you can simply wipe away. For families who bake frequently, this eliminates the need to scrub stubborn residue after a lasagna or a caramelized onion tart. However, you do need to be aware that the cycle will temporarily increase the temperature of the surrounding cabinets and countertops. If you have sensitive wood finishes or a lot of stored pantry items nearby, you'll want to give them a little buffer period before you start the cleaning run. Now, who should definitely consider this model? The sweet spot is homeowners who have already committed to a built-in layout and want a reliable, mid-range oven that doesn't require a premium price tag. The 500 series is positioned as a great tools at a great price offering, and the 4.3-star rating from a small pool of 6 reviewers suggests most owners are satisfied, especially given the limited competition in that price bracket. If you already own Bosch appliances, the design language and control interface will feel consistent, making it easier to integrate into a smart home routine if you happen to have a Bosch Home Connect hub. Small families, couples who entertain occasionally, and busy professionals who need a set-and-forget oven for roasting or baking will find the thermal consistency useful without paying for high-end features they'll never use. On the flip side, there are clear reasons to skip this oven if you fall into certain categories. First, if you're a serious home chef who spends a lot of time experimenting with low-temperature sous vide-style cooking in the oven, you might find the temperature range limiting compared with dedicated low-temp models. The thermostat on this unit typically bottoms out around 150 F, which isn't low enough for certain slow-cook techniques. Second, renters or anyone who isn't ready to commit to a permanent built-in installation should look elsewhere. The installation requires a professional cutout and wiring, and while the unit itself isn't the most massive, the process can be messy if you're not ready for it. Finally, if you have a kitchen that already runs hot from a neighboring cooktop or multiple appliances, the self-cleaning cycle could push temperatures uncomfortably high, so you'd want a more ventilated setup before opting for this model. From a practical standpoint, the most noticeable strength of the Bosch 500 series is its consistency. In everyday use, baking a batch of cookies, roasting a chicken, or reheating a frozen pizza, the oven maintains the set temperature without noticeable fluctuations. That translates to even browning and less need to rotate trays midway through cooking. The oven's interior is also fairly spacious for a single cavity, allowing you to fit a 12-inch pizza stone and a sheet pan simultaneously, which is a boon for weekend pizza nights or prepping multiple dishes at once. The stainless steel finish is not just aesthetic, it resists fingerprints better than glossy enamel finishes, meaning it stays looking clean with just a quick wipe. On the downside, the control panel, while intuitive, lacks the tactile feedback some users prefer. It's a touch slider that can be a little finicky when you have greasy hands or are wearing gloves, leading to occasional overshoots in temperature or time settings. The oven also doesn't come with a built-in meat probe, a feature that higher-end models include for precise doneness. That means you'll need to